Hi guys and girls, got a video here for you going through some exam questions on graphing inequalities. Although the first one is a simple solve, it doesn't require us to graph anything. So solve the inequality 5e plus 3 is greater than e plus 12. So there's no real trick to these. You solve them like you would do a normal equation. So I'm going to take e from both sides. Then take 3 away and divide by 4. Oops. There you go. So the answer is E is greater than 9 over 4. Right, second one. On the grid, shade the region defined by x plus y is 1. Now, I personally prefer to have them, because I know it's going to be a straight line, in the form y equals mx plus c. It's a lot easier to graph. So instead of x plus y greater than 1, I'm going to take x away. So I now know it's going to go through a y-intercept of 1 and have a negative 1 gradient. I need my straight line tool. So it's going to go through like that. And then we want the parts where the y coordinate is greater than 1 minus x. So you're shading the greater bit is the bit above the line. My pens are going nuts as well. So it's this bit here. Second one. So we have two lines drawn on the grid. We've got x minus 2, which is that one there, and y plus x equals 10 is that one there. So mark on the grid with a cross each of the points with integer coordinates, so only the whole number coordinates, defined by y is greater than the x minus 2 line. So we want the bit above the x minus 2 line. So we can't have this bit down here, that's all gone. We want x plus y is less than 10. So again, if I take away the x, I now want y is less than x minus 10. So I want the bit below the x minus 10 line. So I can't have, oh dear me. So I can't have this bit. And then x has got to be greater than 3. Now that's not a line on there at the moment. So the line x is 3 would be here. And we know x has got to be greater than 3. So in this case we want that side. So we can't have anything in here. None of them have an equal sign on, so they can't be on the lines. They've got to be wholly within the region that we're allowed. There you go, you've got 4 points defined by those inequalities. Number 3. Okay, for this one, I take away x, so I get 6 minus x. The others I don't need to worry about. Straight line. Okay, this has a y-intercept of 6 and a negative 1 gradient, so that's going to go like that. It's clearly not perfectly square, but it will do for now. Then we have x, we'll go for a different colour on the next line. So x is greater than minus 1, so x being minus 1 is that line there. And y being 2 is a horizontal line through 2 on the y-axis, which is there. So what am I allowed? Shade out what you're not allowed. I'm not going to worry about different colours for this one. So I want y to be less than 6. So I want the stuff below the line, so I'm not allowed the stuff above the line. So I'm not allowed anything in this region. If I want x to be greater than -1, I'm not allowed anything with the x coordinate less than -1. And I want y to be greater than 2. So I've got to have things above the blue line, so I'm not allowed anything below it. Mark the region with the letter R. Well, there's the region. Quite often they'll make triangles, but not entirely, so definitely don't assume that it's always going to be a triangle in the middle. It's just, more often than not they are. Number 4. So given that x and y are integers, between 3 and 7 for x, 4 and 9 for y, and that x plus y is 13, find all possible values of x. Well, if y can be 5, 6, 7 and 8, and we know that x plus y is 13, if y is 5, then x has to be 8. Well, that can't happen because it's not less than 7. So if y is 6, then x would have to be 7. Again, that can't happen because that doesn't have an equals underneath it. So if y is 7, x could be 6. And if y is 8, x would have to be 5. Both of which are in that inequality, so 5 and 6 are our answers. Another clue, values, so you're not just looking for one, you're looking for more than one. Right, what have we got this time? Now if you're showing an inequality that has an equals on it, it should be a dotted line. So instead of a hard line, it's a dotted line through -1 on the y-axis, through 4 minus x, so that is it's not very straight. It's not easy to use rulers on these. And 3, so this has got a y-intercept of -1 and a gradient of 3, so it's going to go through there and there. I gave up using the ruler that time. Okay, so what are we allowed? Again, the chances are it's going to be the triangle in the middle, but don't assume it. So we want y to be greater than -1, so I strike out anything that's not greater than -1. I want y to be less than the diagonal line that way, so I'm not allowed anything above it. And then for the last bit, I want y to be less than the other diagonal line, so I'm not allowed anything above it. So it is the triangle in the middle. Get my pen back if it will let me. So that's the region. Okay, number 5. Take away the x, so this has got a 7, y-intercept of 7 and a gradient of -1. Straight line tool, come on. That's going to look like that. Y is less than 2x. So that's y-intercept of 0, a gradient of 2. It's going to go like that. That's not, I think I've got a setting on that I don't want. Yep, snap to grid, turn that off. Let's try that again. gradient of 2, there we go, and then y is greater than 3, which is that line there. Again, don't assume, but it's probably going to be that triangle in the middle. So we want y to be less than that diagonal line, so we're not allowed anything above it. So all this is out. Then we want y to be less than 2x, which was that line there, so we're not allowed anything above it. And we want y to be greater than 3, so we strike out anything less. And once again, it's the triangle in the middle. There we go. I've got the fraction stuff below there, so don't worry about that. Yeah, I hope it made sense. If not, give me a shout. Bye.